2026, which will henceforth be known as 26, at least as it pertains to the Rangers. We'll talk about the 26 season. So what will it look like? Well, we try to talk about that next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. So it's a process, and it's been a slow process, not only for the Rangers, but for a lot of teams, at least as it pertains to free agency. I'm pretty sure Holly's in the chat already. We appreciate you and all of you. I'm pretty sure they're not done, but I don't know that they're going to go out and get any big free agents. John Radigan, Jeff Wilson. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast, and we've got the Queen Cat here with us today, too, and we're in the DLLS Sports Studios for the first time in 2026. How cool is that? We're going to talk about maybe some of the expectations we have for 26 regarding, what could happen, even though we don't know what the team will look like yet, I don't think. I think there's still more work to be done, but we'll talk about that, and then we'll also get to big week for the arbitration eligible guys. We'll talk about that. We'll sort of dip our toe into the Venezuela situation as it pertains to baseball. It's all coming up here on the show today. First, Jeff, the number 26, the year 26, the number 26. Of course, nobody's worn that number since 2005 in the Rangers organization.
Oh, sure.
Because it was retired for the great Johnny Oates when he entered the Hall of Fame that year and was very ill at the time. It was a really sad and touching moment in Rangers history. But do you know who wore 26 off the top of your head prior? Any names come to mind?
No, I would. I'm just going to throw out Bobby Bonds.
He did not make the list. I didn't know. I was doing the same thing you did. He didn't make the list, but get this. And there is a baseball card out there to prove it.
Ooh.
Nolan Ryan.
What?
When he first got to the team, wore 26 for a short period of time.
Well, that's interesting.
And it's on a baseball card, which has to be a collector's item. Rafi wore it in his first stint in a Rangers uniform.
Okay.
And Dave, somebody or other, a first base coach, wore it. At some
old
point,
Dave,
too.
all right.
Good old Dave. What was it? No, anyway, I don't know. But yeah, what obviously hasn't been worn since 05. But 26 could be a big year. Bigger than 25? We sure hope so.
Yeah.
Bigger and better than 24? We sure hope so.
Yeah.
Can it be as big as 23?
Yeah.
Well,
depends. Yeah. Get hot at the right time.
Sure. With good pitching.
Exactly. Yeah. I think the pitching, the rotation is the team's strength at this point. That and shortstop. Okay. But the bullpen is still a big question mark. The back end of the rotation, we still have some questions about. And then, the offense, I think, is pretty much in place. I don't think the Rangers are going to add any major offensive pieces. With the guys that are coming back, hey, like they've said for a couple years now, got to have some internal improvement. I think the internal improvement starts with health. If you can get, like we were talking about the other day, 500 plate appearances for Corey Seager.
Yes.
Keep Wyatt Langford healthy and swinging. Figure something out with Evan Carter. Then I think that's a good starting place. Jake Berger was hurt a lot last year. Josh Young always seems to be hurt. So health will be a big thing. It's a big thing for all the teams, but it was something that Skip Schumacher mentioned in his introductory press conference. The things they want to, the offense, this, that, health. He said keeping guys healthy. So I think that's a big priority. Probably a story that I will be writing more about in spring training when all the guys are together and you can, assemble the crew and not just the players, but the strength and conditioning guys, maybe a Jamie Reed situation, talk to Jamie and what have the Rangers done in the offseason to make sure that guys are healthy. So, they can contend. They've done it with a lot of the guys that they still have on the roster.
Yeah.
But, like everybody, you have to get a little lucky. You have to have some guys have some breakout performances. And, I think 130 games for Corey Seager is going to be a breakout year.
Oh, my gosh. That's all you need out of him, really.
Yeah.
I mean, because you know what he's going to do, basically, if he plays 130 games. His numbers are always going to be good. Dave Oliver, by the way, and it's bad on me. Dave Oliver Ward is a third base coach from 88, and I knew Dave. I overlapped with Dave all the way to 94.
Wow.
So Dave Oliver had it for a long time, and then Johnny Oates took it in 95, and that was it. I guess somebody wore it in 02, Chris Magruder, or not to be confused with McGruber. Okay, so yes. So how does this year look? It looks iffy right now because they're not done. But let's just pretend they are, right?
All right.
Nothing happens.
What if the season started today?
Right. Can they be? Last year they were 81 and 81. Can they be better than 81 and 81 with the team as it is comprised right now? I contend they could. I mean, of course, anything's possible. We know that. And there are people in the chat who think they're cooked already, which is also
That's
fine.
good.
That's also fine. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. That said, I believe they could be better, even with what they have right now, in huge part, because of and if that clubhouse personality makeover is possible, right? They just need to have more fun. It just can't be quite as businesslike and quite as, we carry our briefcase to work kind of attitude around there,
Well, it's going to, the chemistry thing is going to get a reboot because the manager is new and most of the coaching staff is new. I think it's important for the Rangers to get off to a good start offensively. Last season, just the way it started with, Jock Peterson being miserable and, Jake Berger struggling, getting sent down in early May. Those are the two big offensive acquisitions for the team last offseason. And they came out and laid an egg, and I think they felt the pressure of that. I know Jock Peterson definitely did. He basically said, I was their big piece, and I need to get going, and he just kept screwing himself into the ground. And so hopefully it can start there. Maybe Nimmo has to deal with that, but he seems like such a good egg, and he's played in New York, so I don't know that the pressure of our 3-man, 4-man beat is going to wear him down. So hopefully it all gets started the right way. You get off to a good start hitting wise. You see the results of what Skip wants to do offensively, and build some momentum there. I think the pitching, again, 1 through 3 in the rotation, can keep you in the games. If you win 60% of your games, you're going to make the playoffs.
Right.
So the Rangers have 3/5 of the playoff formula theoretically in their rotation. And then we all always wonder, well, who the hell's going to save the game? Who's going to be the closer? And the Rangers don't have one. Right now, I would guess it's Robert Garcia. Yeah. Unless Alexis Diaz shows something in spring training. Sure. I don't know that they want to do that to Chris Martin at his advanced age and coming off the medicals that he had last year, though. The Rangers know real well what he was dealing with because he was their guy. So that's the question, I think. At this point, you're looking at 2 or 3 minor leaguers, mostly minor leaguers throughout their careers. You know, they're very young relievers. I don't think Cole Winn classifies as a rookie anymore, but he's close. Then you're looking at like a Luis Carvello. What do you do with Jake Latz? How soon can Cody Bradford be healthy? And do those two swap places in the rotation? So there are a lot of those kind of questions still to be answered, questions being asked, answers pending. But yeah, this team can win. The division's not great. I'll keep saying it. Everybody talks about the A's being better than the Rangers. The A's are not going to pitch better than the Rangers. They're just not going to.
Oh, gosh, no.
So,
no
at worst, I think the Rangers right now are third place. The Angels aren't there yet. They're counting on a bunch of reclamation projects. They traded a 30-home run hitter for a guy who's perennially injured throughout his young career, and Rodriguez from the Orioles. So, you're really the division, I think, would be there for the taking. The Mariners didn't like run away with it last year. It's not like they're this great team. Yes, they made it to the ALCS and went to a 7th game and had a guy who hit 60 home runs, but they're going to regress offensively too. And they weren't a great offensive team. I don't care what anybody says. Don't let the 60 homer guy fool you. The Mariners were not a great offensive team the whole season. And
he ain't hitting 60 this year, right? I mean, if he hits 40, they're going to be feeling really, really good, right? I mean, it was a magical year for Cal Raleigh, but he's not hitting 60 home runs this year. And if he does, good for him and good for them. But I'd be very surprised because again, he hadn't been in that neighborhood. Few have, but he hadn't been in that neighborhood before, and I don't think he will be again, and not in that neighborhood. We agree, Holly, and I think Cerdua mentioned it. Yeah, I mean, look, they need another starting pitcher. They know that, and I believe they will get it. And Kelly, man, we agree with you. I don't want to see Kumar Rocker pushed into this rotation, which, if it were to stand as it is right now, at least in the short term, at least until Cody Bradford is back, you might have to go with the Kumar Rocker, as they were prepared to do and did do last year. But I hope that doesn't have to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the pitching, as Greg points out, the pitching's going to regress. I mean, you're the ERA 100%. Leaders last year. It's going to be hard to replicate that. You're not going to have Sean Armstrong back. You need to catch lightning in the bottle again. But I would contend that Jacob deGrom's going to be better, and then if you get second half Jack Leiter for a full year, that's better. If you get Nathan Eovaldi pitching, 27 starts. I mean, 23 last year.
Yeah.
He's not going to pitch to a 1.73 ERA, but those 4 or 5 extra starts he makes are going to be better than what the Rangers had to replace him this year. So, or in 25, it's no longer this year.
Yeah.
So, yes, there should be some regression, but I don't think it's going to be significant. And again, there are parts of it that are going to get better. But I do think the Mariners are the team to beat. The Astros signing the Japanese kid. We have to wait and see on him. There's always an adjustment period for those guys. They always get hurt. I'm not rooting for that, of course, but it's just a way of life.
Yeah, I mean,
look
at Sasaki. He came out as the guy and basically didn't, had to spend the whole year.
He was hurt,
getting healthy and then remaking himself in a way.
Yeah. And the Astros, is Christian Walker going to be better? They still have Paredes, who's nice and can be a nice offensive guy. They're going to get a full year of Alvarez. In theory, he's at least going to be healthy, but they've got some pitching questions, man. So, this division's kind of it's not wide open, but really 4 of the 5 teams, you're like, okay. Yeah. And the Rangers are in that 4.
Yeah, that's right. They are 100%. So yeah, there's still work to be done. But somebody suggested 85 wins earlier in the chat would be a nice number to shoot for. I think that'd be pretty realistic as a goal, right?
Yeah.
And if they exceed that, that'd be wonderful. 85 probably gets you in though, and at least into a wild card.
Yeah, and I saw something that the Rangers some formula projected them to win 85 games. All right, I'd take that.
I'd take that. Yeah, I'd take.
I mean,
that.
that's at right now. Currently,
right. Currently, yeah. And so if they get better, maybe that number goes up. And I'd love to go back and look. What were they projected to win in 2023?
Yeah,
I don't imagine they were projected to win much more than 85.
Yeah.
So it can be better than 85 if that's the projection. Sadly, as we know, it can be worse too. So we'll see what happens. But that's a look at how things might play out in 2026. This week is big. The 8th, or Thursday, is the day that the teams have, everybody exchanges their arbitration numbers. And there's some pretty significant names within the Rangers organization who will be saying, I want this, and the team will be saying, you'll get nothing and like it. No, they won't say that, but they'll say something like that, and we'll talk about that next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. So since I've been in college, I've been a nap guy. For decades, I was a 15-minute nap guy. I'd wake up almost for sure without an alarm, almost to the minute, 15 minutes, and feel great. Gotten older, suddenly the nap gets a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's 30. Now it's 60 minutes. When I sleep for 60 minutes, I wake up and feel terrible. You know why I'm lingering in those naps now? Because my energy is low. Easy way to combat that. It's Mars Men. It's an energy boost because it's natural testosterone. We're talking about 8 natural, clinically dosed ingredients that will help you, no matter your age, feel better, feel clearer in your mind, feel more energetic. And for a limited time, our listeners get 50% off plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. It's the perfect way to kick off your new year strong. That's mengotomars.com, 50% off and 3 gifts at checkout.
And Wild Fork Foods, John, pulled off the impossible last night.
Did they?
Mrs. Wilson made spaghetti, and Molly asked, do we have any bread? And by God, we had breadsticks.
Yes.
So the breadsticks that John Radigan endorses, they were a hit. All 4 of us ate the entire breadstick, and that's pretty significant considering how picky our kids are.
No kidding.
All right, and that's just the breadsticks. It has nothing to do with the meat, which is what Wild Fork Foods specializes in. More than what, hundreds of cuts of meat, all kinds of pork, beef, chicken, turkey. They can help you on your holidays, big events, or just getting through the grind. And if you join their special club for $29 a month, you'll also get free delivery. You don't even have to go to the store. Visit wildforkfoods.com for all the information.
Imagine, if you will, knowing that this week you are going to exchange wishes for your salary for this year with your boss. And it would be in the millions. The millions, Jeff, right? These guys are all going to, all those guys are going to be in the millions, right? A couple in the 1 million. They're all going to be 7 figures.
Yeah, and they should be. Yeah.
They should. Yeah. And so, you're going to get at least $1 million no matter which way it goes. That would be a really good problem to have, Jeff.
Oh, man. Yeah. When are our arbitration hearings?
Yeah, when do we have those hearings?
I don't want to go to a hearing. Hearings are negative. All they do is poop on you.
They try to break you down. They try to break you down.
Tell you how bad you are.
I'm tough.
Yeah. Anyway, so Thursday is the deadline to exchange arbitration numbers. Don't be surprised if throughout the day Thursday there are a number of agreements reached, or even before then, which is very standard across the league. Rangers had 9 entering the offseason. They non-tendered 4 of those guys, Chaim Garcia, Spores, Webb, and are left with Sam Haggerty, Josh Smith, Jake Berger, Ezekiel Duran, and Josh Young. I think they're in their first years. Not Sam. Sam Haggerty is not in his first year of arbitration. But anyway, and look, obviously, if you get tendered a contract, the Rangers anticipate using you in some way, shape, or form. Of
course, yeah.
Now it's to what level will you be used? You're looking at 3 regulars: Smith, Berger, and Young. Haggerty and Duran bench pieces. And MLB trade rumors way back in October projected what these guys would make. Haggerty and Duran, it's only $1.4 million.
Okay.
And I bet they end up signing for less. That's just a hunch. I mean, the Rangers always want to try to get it to a number below, the projected numbers.
Arbitration.
And who knows what the Rangers think they're worth and what these guys themselves think they're worth. Josh Young is a Boris client, so that one might be a little trickier to pull off. But I would, the Rangers have him into a trial since 2000,
right?
With Lee Stevens.
That's right.
And I think they beat him, and then they traded him. So anyway,
that's right.
You just don't want to go to a hearing. The Rangers almost went to a hearing a couple years ago with Adolis. It seemed like maybe there was one last year they got down to the wire with, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But the fact of the matter is that these guys aren't going to make a ton of money. They're not going to put a big dent in the budget, and I'm willing to bet the Rangers have already factored that in. I do wonder, though, is Josh Smith's case bolstered by the fact that he is now their starting second baseman?
Sure.
I mean, that certainly seems to be the way they're headed.
Agreed. But I wonder, and again, they're not going to get to a hearing.
Right.
But do you argue Ezekiel Duran could win the second baseman spot, and then we keep you, Josh Smith, in that all-important, utility role?
Yeah.
Because we know Corey Seager's going to miss a bunch of games.
Right.
We're pretty sure Josh Young will probably miss some games. We need you in that role. We don't want to take away our second baseman when our shortstop is missing 40 games.
Right.
I mean, so in a perfect world, I think Ezekiel Duran would take that spot from Josh Smith, and Josh could stay where he's been.
Yeah.
But I don't know that that's going to happen. Now, Duran, remember, has had an unbelievable, where was he in the Dominican Winter Ball?
Yeah. And maybe he and Smith factor into a platoon.
Sure.
Sam Haggerty can play second base. He played it a lot in spring training last year. And really, that's kind of where I think he made his biggest case for being on the roster was because of what he did at second there. The MLB trade rumors projected $3 million for Smith, $3.5 million for Berger, and $2.9 million for Josh Young. I think those are all reasonable. I think that's also why some of them are still on the roster, because there's still value to be had there. Adolis and Jonah Heim, there just wasn't enough value. I think with Spores, it wasn't necessarily the money; it was guaranteeing him a major league roster spot.
Yeah, and we think he'll be back.
Well,
right?
I don't know. I mean, he hasn't signed so far. I think he's probably holding out for a major league contract.
Sure, yeah.
I just don't know that he's going to get one. That's definitely something I need to ask. And is he healthy enough and throwing hard enough to hold a tryout for teams?
Right.
Do something like that. You never know at that point. But the Rangers want to resign him. I just think that there is some risk in giving him a 40-man spot. And then Berger 3.5 seems a little high, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. Anyway, yeah. So I would expect that of the 5, I bet 3 of them are done before Thursday's deadline, and then the other 2 shortly thereafter.
Right, and they won't get to.
They will not go to a hearing.
They won't get to arbitration. They just don't. They don't like it because that process, it's built to, be, I guess, lack of a better word, you have to be mean. To the player.
Yeah.
Right. To as you're trying to present your case, you have to tell the other side, well, here's why we don't think he's worth that.
Right.
And you have to bring out all the negative numbers and anything negative that you have on that player, and then say, we lost. Okay, all's forgiven, all's well that ends well, right? No, not necessarily. These guys are human beings.
Yeah.
They hear those words.
Right.
And they sting and they hurt. And,
I still hold Adolis after 2023 went into arbitration, and it was a really big gap.
Yes,
a very big gap, and he was coming off of his best career season, and of course his World Series heroics. And the Rangers, they just weren't budging.
No,
and there was a big gap. It was like Adolis was around 6, and the Rangers were like at 4.5. And it was a huge gap. And they almost went to a hearing. They ended up agreeing to a 2-year deal. With I think it was 4.75, 4.24, and then 9.25 this last season. But I think it really bugged him. I really think it did. And he came out in April and was great, and then it just fell to pieces. So maybe he felt the pressure to keep it up, or maybe he thought he'd done enough. I don't know, but I just think there was a stigma attached with that.
Yeah, I think it,
and that was without a hearing.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. They didn't get into all the negative stuff. Quick note on Lee Stevens, by the way, that I learned this weekend. Lee Stevens and Mark McLemore got married on the same day in Las Vegas.
Oh, really?
At the same place. They were teammates at the All-Star break. 30-something. They're both still married.
Oh,
so good for them.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, good for them.
Okay.
But yeah, Lee was the last one to have gone to an arbitration hearing, which is a huge, huge thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Hope to keep the streak alive. Mitch Moreland was close.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they had, and same thing with Adolis. They had convened in the city where the hearing was going to be.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And I don't know if they hammered it out in the lobby bar or whatever at the hotel, or however they did, but they never went to the hearing.
Yeah. Yeah. And, but all these guys, Jake Berger, we've talked about a lot. Whatever number they settle on with him, I think that he is bound to have another year. Now, of course, you don't know that. You don't know if that can happen. But I think the fact that he's back, he's reunited with Skip Schumacher, is a huge thing for Jake Berger.
Yeah.
And a second year in this environment and another year of having, embraced and, lived the life of a father who has a child with Down syndrome, right? There was a lot on his plate last year.
Yeah, she had open heart surgery in spring training.
Yeah.
And so he had to leave the team for, it wasn't quite a week, but then he had to leave him, and I think she had gone home from the hospital. I think that's when he returned to Arizona. But, I mean, that's a lot to put on your plate. And anyway, people are human, and, there is the argument, okay, well, when you're at the field, you have to compartmentalize that and perform. And I don't know. Hey, I couldn't imagine. I mean,
No.
We didn't have nearly the same dramatic thing as open heart surgery, but I flew through the night and drove from Seattle to Portland to catch a flight just to get home for my son's appendectomy. You know?
Yeah.
What was that? 19, I think. So I mean, it happens, but I can't. Yeah, we said it the other day. I think the Skip Schumacher effect on Jake Berger is going to be monumental.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. And I do think, there have been a couple of comments in the chat about, what that Skip took a team in the Marlins to the playoffs back in, was that 23?
Yeah.
He took that team to the playoffs, and that team was not as talented as this Rangers team. It just flat wasn't. Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, can he work his magic again this year? I think it's definitely a possibility. And then, what he won't have here, at least we don't think he'll have this year, is then a complete shift in, was it ownership and front office or just front office?
I think it was front office.
Yeah,
like
just front
Kimming quit because it was a bad deal there, and it might have been ownership. I don't know the Jeter situation there and everything, but there was some upheaval, and but he still is fond of those guys, fond of that team, loves all the players, all of that stuff. And maybe it was just a team only a mother could love or a father could love in that situation.
Yeah.
But he did, and Jake Berger was one of them, and hit 32 home runs.
Wow.
So there's going to be a Skip effect on Jake.
Yep, I think so too, and I think it'll be positive. I think, again, this is a guy who's hit 30 bombs before, so I don't know if he'll do that, but if he can come close to that, it's going to be great for this Rangers team, which was really, sort of had a power outage for the most part last year. So we'll see what happens. Up next, let's talk a little bit about the situation in Venezuela. We'll not get into the politics of it, but it's significant in that, some friends of ours, guys that we know very well, are from Venezuela. We've had long talks with them about the situation there, and we're going to talk about how it all pertains to baseball next on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
Supporters Club is up first.
There it is.
And we love the Supporters Club. We're due for a video here. I know we kind of got a month off last month with GM Ben helping out there at the winter meetings. But anyway, go to our YouTube homepage, click the join button, take you through the process of signing up to be in the Supporters Club, where you'll get access to exclusive emojis, which is kind of cool. But the videos you get are terrific. They're behind the scenes stuff. John and I have talked a lot about our careers and the history of the Rangers and how much we know about that. And it's just kind of, you get a little inside information, kind of I didn't know that. It just makes you a better sports fan. And if you're diehard, you're already great. Become a Supporters Club member, and you become even greater. Smartest sports fan in your friend group. Yeah,
and you can be smarter for free too by just subscribing to the newsletter, which is a fantastic thing to do. You'll get so much information. Ali does it. He's one of our Cowboys writers, and he stays in touch with pretty much everything going on in the Metroplex, as most of you do, and he writes about it in the newsletter and writes about it for free. So, today he's talking about the Stars having a bit of a skid here. He's probably talking about Cooper Flagg hitting the wall. And Jason Kidd talked about that yesterday in the postgame. Said, yeah, every rookie hits a wall, and then you've got to touch the wall and then figure out how you can beat the wall. Do you go around it? Do you go through it? Do you go over it? What do you got to do? But that wall is real, and you got to figure out how to do it. So all that's the kind of stuff that is in the news. And, of course, I don't know if you heard, but the Cowboys season is over, Jeff.
Oh.
They will not be making
I didn't know they
playoffs.
were still playing.
They won't be
anymore. Oh, okay.
And they will not be making the playoffs. And they finished with a thud. And there are questions to be answered because they benched pulled the starters in the second half, which, I don't think they – and that's a Giants fan over there. We basically gave the Giants fan the win over there. So, anyway, so they finished under 500. That's not good. It's all written about, though, by Ali and the rest of the guys in the newsletter. And so make sure you go down to our website, scroll down, newsletter, box, check it, put in your email. You'll get that newsletter every day. Okay, Venezuela, the situation there obviously got pretty dicey this weekend, and what happened, and now there is a sense of freedom, right, in the country of Venezuela, which has long been a hotbed for baseball, Jeff. And back in the day, Tom Grieve, who we've had on the show, friend of ours, Tom went there 3 or 4 years in a row, brought the wife down there. I mean, might have even had had Tim, his oldest, with them at some point down there. He also went a year or two by himself. But in any event, the great thing was his roommate, at least one of the years, was Frank White from the Royals. Remember? Frank from the Royals, great player. And then Tom just loved the name that the locals had for him, Franco Blanco.
I like it.
So and then anytime when Frank was a part of the broadcast in the Royals organization for a while, anytime we'd see Frank White in the press box or anywhere, Tom would say Franco Blanco. So, but anyway, he talks glowingly about it. They had such fun as young men down there, enjoying that country, getting to know the culture. They loved the food, that was available down there, the local food, and arepas, I think, is one of the things,
Yeah.
And anyway, so there's that as a history. And then also, I remember sitting with Elvis early in his career, 8, 9, 10, I guess 8 he wasn't here yet, 9 or 10 or 11, 12 maybe. It's like, you have to come down to Venezuela to see the series with me, because, come down in the offseason. He said it's much more intense than the Yankees and the Red Sox. And then, I don't know, a year or two later, I said, Elvis, I think I finally got approval to come to Venezuela. And I hadn't been paying attention to the politics of their country. He said, you can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Yeah, no, I remember talking to him when Maduro came into president.
Power.
And he and other Venezuelans were not happy about it.
No.
It's hard for them to get back into the country.
Right.
There's the fear of being kidnapped because they know they have money, and it's happened.
Yes.
The participation in the Venezuelan Winter League is way down, and it's to the point because scouts from major league teams are unable to safely or even get into Venezuela, that Venezuelan prospects would drive to Colombia. And so that's where the tryouts for Venezuelan players have been taking place the last few years in Colombia, just because, if they have their dreams of getting to the major leagues and all that stuff and making a ton of money, but to do it, they had to drive to Colombia, and if you're familiar with geography of South America, there can be some long drives, and I'm sure they aren't great roads.
No.
And
probably not super safe.
Right. So, I mean, it's now Martin Perez, our buddy, lived in remote part of Venezuela, whereas Elvis was more of a city kid.
Yep.
But regardless of where you lived, you still felt the impact of the policies, and you felt for the safety of your family. What, Robinson Chirino's brother or uncle got kidnapped?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Just these things that happen in there, and so. From a baseball perspective, which is very, very low on the list of priorities here, the people being able to live freely and for the economy to recover, they sit on so much oil. This could be a thriving nation, and it was until Maduro took over. So it's a big step forward for the country, but it's also a step forward, again, way down on the list of priorities for baseball, because things are going to free up. You can start going there again. And so, these Venezuelan players can go home. There was a stretch there after COVID where all the Rangers Venezuelan minor leaguers stayed in Arizona.
That's right.
They couldn't go home.
No.
So there's just a whole lot of things that are going to help the Venezuelan baseball player because of this change. Among
those who have been, Rangers that were from Venezuela also include Rugned, who in Rugned Odor, who he was in a more rural area too. One of the reasons that when he got his contract, he got a couple of horses,
right? A couple of quarter horses,
yeah, because that was some of the stuff that he grew up with, and so that was pretty cool. Luis Crivello, current Ranger, is Venezuelan. So this touches those people. I mean, I remember having when Martin, Elvis, and Rugned were all on the team together, and
Trinos was on the team too.
Yeah, Robinson too. There were 4 guys, and I remember at a time Elvis was like desperate to make sure he got everybody in his family out of there.
Right.
And I think he did. I'm pretty sure he did. So, so it's a very interesting development in world politics, obviously, but it definitely has a tie to baseball, which is to say, and we're going to try to get Elvis or Martin, one of our buddies, on just to give us their thoughts. You'll be probably not surprised. This is how we'd feel if we were living in another country and ours became the way Venezuela was. We'd be very passionate about what was happening in our country, and they were, and I'm sure still are, very passionate about what happens and what will happen now in Venezuela, which I guess we don't really know yet what's going to happen there, but we do know that Maduro is out, and I promise you none of those guys are upset about that. I see the chat going a little crazy here, which is great. We love you guys talking to each other, and I'm with whoever said it's a little early to be this down on the Rangers.
Yeah,
I don't think that there is evidence to suggest. I mean, we're down on last year. They were 81-81. I mean, it's a 500 year. How would you like to be the Mets last year with all their money and all their payroll, and they spending the big money on Juan Soto in the offseason, and they didn't make the playoffs. I mean, there's a lot of teams that still a lot more teams that don't make the playoffs than those that do.
Yeah, and a couple guys are on Chris Young, and look, Chris Young has a boss, all right, and his boss is Ray Davis, and Ray Davis has given Chris Young a budget, and so Chris is trying to do what he can this offseason with that budget, which is significantly worse. And Benny, you're still hung up on the CBT thing, all right. Again, they thought they were going to be well over, but then guys didn't hit their performance reviews, and it ended up being marginally over. The Rangers do not think it's a big deal because this year's payroll is not going to be above it. So I would get off of that one. I know that's a big thorn in your side, and I can understand why if they had ambitions of being over again this year, but they don't. And again, it was not necessarily the front office's fault. It was the health of the players who didn't hit their collective bargaining or didn't hit their performance bonuses. So, it's bad luck, but I wouldn't exactly cast the scarlet letter on Chris Young there.
No, it sucks, right? It's a very unfortunate circumstance the way it played out, that you only go over by literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, obviously the good news is you didn't have much of a penalty to pay. The bad news is that's the third year in a row, so the penalty will get worse each year after that, and that's why. But again, I think even if they hadn't gone over, because they didn't know when they set the budget.
They didn't know until the numbers were released.
Yeah, they didn't know when they set the budget, if they had gone over or not. So Hey,
Greg, here comes the Chris Young PR group. Knock it off. You're so blinded by outrage here, all right? Yeah. Ray Davis is the one who sets the budget, all right? It's not Chris Young's fault. If he could spend as much money as he wanted, he would.
No doubt. Everybody, and they would. And they'd be great as they were, and when he could, right? Yeah. He could for a minute there. Yeah, he could in 22 and 23 off seasons, and when they did, what'd they do? They hauled off and won. Yeah. So it's definitely too early to decide how good this team can be, but it's definitely not too early to talk about it and debate about it. So we do enjoy that, and of course there have been mistakes made over the years, including Benny on this you going over the CBT, but again, it really didn't affect this offseason or the approach. Ray Davis decided that the money was going to be less this year, and we believe in large part, based on the outlay. There was a huge outlay of cash to put that TV group together. The number of people the Rangers had to hire, basically, in order to put that thing together was significant. It was staggering, and while they don't make as much money as players do, they make big money, and they get benefits. And, there's a lot, and there were so many people that they had to hire in order to get that job done, and it takes a while to get a regional sports network up and running. And so they probably didn't make anywhere near the money back that they laid out last year. But they will. They believe they will. They know what they're doing, and they will. And then I hope, the budget will be, much bigger and a little more free. Somebody asked earlier if we thought that that Ray Davis would sell the team or hand it down. All indications right now are that he would still be in a mode to hand it down, right? I mean, right. We've seen no other indicate. For a while, there were people within the organization who were telling me that it was, Ray was building the new stadium to get out. And clearly, that's not the case, right? That didn't happen. And now nobody says things like that. Nobody within the organization that I talk to, gives any indication that Ray is not in it for the long haul and or his family in it for the long haul.
Well, the problem with Ray is that he he treats it like a business.
Yeah.
And wants to, lose as little money as possible each season. Because, you don't make money being an owner until you sell the team. I think if Ray Davis is concerned about making money, then sell the team.
Yeah.
Go ahead and sell it. Your family. I don't. So little is known about Ray.
Yeah.
I don't know how many kids he has.
I don't either.
I know he has a daughter.
The daughter is always talked about as the one who would, kind of assume control.
Okay, but how long does it take her to sell the team?
Right. Yeah, good question. Yeah.
She's going to become wonderfully wealthy, which is, wealthier, which is fantastic for her. But what does she want to run a baseball team?
Yeah, who knows?
Does she want to make those decisions? So what if she puts it on the market and sells it and, the team, who knows what the team's worth? I know what Forbes estimates the value at, but it always seems low. These teams always sell for more.
Seem to sell for
and
more.
Depending on how much of the property that the Davis family owns around the ballpark, if you put that into the deal, you're talking $5-6 billion here. So I think that the franchise, Ray Davis needs to spend more. He can't take it with him, and he's going to have plenty left when the daughter or whoever inherits the club. But as a steward of a franchise, though, your duty, and I think the obligation, and you should understand this when you take it, is that you got to put a winner on the field.
Right.
And in this market, that means spending money.
Yeah. And it's already, so it's at, let's say $5 billion. That's 10 times what they paid for it.
Yeah.
Right. 10 times. So, wow. Okay, that's that. We appreciate you again, as always, hanging out with us in the chat. Our cleanup segment is coming next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And it's time for you to consider being a diehard, if you would, please. We would love for you to get all of the work that is being done by our writers that is behind the paywall. That includes Ali, who we mentioned, and, of course, Clarence Hill, who has been covering the Cowboys in this market basically since the year after they won their last Super Bowl. And there's a contention among our people that say Clarence is the problem, right? They won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, and Clarence got on the beat, and they haven't won since. So
he's like 500. Like his record is
it really?
It's right around 500. For a long time, it was 500.
So you do the math. I mean, maybe he is the problem, but he's worth reading. I'll tell you that. He's been around a long time, and he gets the goods. He gets all the good stuff from the Dallas Cowboys, and I guess he's got to be the longest tenured beat writer right now for the Cowboys.
Maybe consecutively. Calvin. Yeah, Calvin's been around for a while, but he also left and covered the Jets, I think, for a year or two.
Really? And, okay. Yeah. All right. So anyway, that's that beat. We have the Stars beat with Sam, and we've got the Mavericks beat covered by a young up and coming reporter who's already breaking stories for us, called Ron Harrod. And of course, Jeff handles the Rangers with aplomb, and he's another one who's been around, for more than a decade.
Almost
sneaking
2.
up on 2. Yeah, sneaking up on 2, covering this team. So anyway, that's what you get when you become a diehard. That kind of stuff. 20% off all of our events. 20% off all of our merchandise. $80. It's a bargain. Become a diehard today.
Sure is, and you get a free shirt. I don't know if John mentioned that because I was reading the chat. You get a free shirt with your diehard membership, and you get that at store.allcitynetwork.com, where they also have hats. Now we're up to 5 hats. This is the OG I'm wearing. I wear it a lot because I'm a big blue guy. I like blue. Yeah. Anyway, hats, flags. My wife got her brother, my brother-in-law, a Texas Tech coffee cup for Christmas. One of his little Christmas presents. Got her dad a DLLS sweatshirt. So all kinds of good stuff at store.allcitynetwork.com. John is wearing a shirt today. I'm not, actually. I wore the hat to rep the company today, but you never know what tomorrow's going to bring because I have a very wide variety, including selection. 2 from outside the market. So go to store.allcitynetwork.com and get your stuff.
Speaking of Texas Tech, they got the Sorsby kid for $5
from
million.
Cincinnati.
Yeah,
I don't think he's very good.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know he's the number 1 in the transfer portal, and they got a kid. They got another kid for $2.7 million.
Well,
as quarterbacks.
okay.
So, yeah, how about that? They said they were going to double down, and by God, they did. But yeah, let's figure that out another day. And if we have to do a college football show in the future,
I tell you what, the Alabama quarterback situation is interesting because if Simpson goes in the draft, they have the Duncanville kid, but
Yeah.
he wasn't the backup when Simpson was hurt, didn't play the second half. They had this 6'6" athletic guy that looked like a stud.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But anyway,
I didn't see him. Wow.
but I mean, the transfer portal. You think MLB free agency is crazy? Jesus, nothing compares to this.
Kid got $5 million coming out of Cincinnati.
That is nuts.
Yeah, crazy. Blue Jays gave $60 million, or will give $60 million, to Kazuma Okamoto.
All right.
So we knew that was eventually coming. It came just before the deadline and his deadline. And now the Blue Jays have spent, I think it's $337 million, something in that range. They got Dylan Cease for $210, Cody Ponce for $30 million, Tyler Rogers for $37 million, Jeff. They're loading up, and there's still talk that they're completely in on Bo Bichette.
Well, that's interesting because Bichette's probably one of the top remaining free agents.
Yeah.
He definitely is. And I know this was coming later in the rundown, but the Phillies just hired Don Mattingly to be the bench coach, and he was the bench coach last season for the Blue Jays. So maybe there's a hook there, and
Sure.
I don't know that for sure, and it might just be speculation. It is just speculation. No might about it. But anyway, probably doesn't hurt the Phillies' chances.
No. Maybe that's one of the reasons they're like, we got to get Donnie Baseball over here. He's got a tie to Bo. But anyway, the Houston Texans are in the playoffs, and at their game yesterday, there was Tatsuya Imai up in a booth, up in an owner's suite there with the owner of the Texans, and they're his buddy and agent Jeff. It's Boris. Scott Boris.
No, I can't imagine Scott found his way on a camera.
Found his way to a camera.
I'd say that. I love Scott Boris. I like the guy. He's so smart when it comes to the business of baseball, and listening to him talk. I really enjoy, and through the years have enjoyed our discourses. If you get him on the phone, though, man, it's hard to get him off.
Yeah. And you're right. He's a smart guy, and he stays in touch with like sort of everything. He knows the markets where baseball teams are very well. He's a really sharp guy. Chaim Bloom, who is, still probably considered a wonderkind, who's the president of baseball operations for the Cardinals, having already served in similar capacities with the Rays and the Red Sox. He is saying, officially, St. Louis is once again trying to deal Nolan Arenado.
Yeah.
But he wants it to be the right deal for both the team and for Arenado, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And they thought they had traded Arenado, I think, last year to the Astros, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
And
he vetoed. Yep.
Used his no trade clause or whatever. Or I don't think he had 10-5 rights with the Cardinals yet, but he vetoed it. But where would Nolan Arenado want to play? He grew up in the L.A. area. Adrian Beltre was his idol, and coincidentally, has become a fabulous defensive third baseman. So maybe a Southern California team, but there's also, you just kind of look at the numbers, and he's not the player he was. Even in his first couple of years with the Cardinals, he and Goldschmidt were a dynamic duo there.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
And of course, he's not going to have the same numbers he had in Colorado, but he was good in St. Louis for those first couple seasons. And now it's just, I think he's been a little bit banged up. He is an older player. And I remember, everybody wanted the Rangers to trade for him back in, I don't know, 19 or 20. Maybe it was even before then, but I hope they find a deal for him because he's a nice guy. Every time I've talked to him, he's been a real good guy.
I've dealt with him much, so glad to hear that. So in Hollywood, they have that Walk of Fame where it's a big deal if you get your star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They do it a little differently in Japan, and our buddy Yu Darvish, has his image on a manhole cover, Jeff.
Yeah. If you don't follow you on Twitter, it's very entertaining. And now he has started posting translated from Japanese to English.
Nice.
And so that helps to make it a little bit easier. But he's over in Japan. It sounded like, if I've been following it correctly, for the first time in a while, he took his whole family with him. And of course he just had the Tommy John surgery, so he's not going to pitch, I don't believe, in this year unless it's late. But he's a good dude. And I know when he came here, he was guarded. He was an A-list celebrity in Japan.
Yeah, he was.
And the media throng that followed him, and he'd been in a marriage and was divorced. She was like a B-list, like a soap star or something. But played up the fact that she was Yu Darvish's wife. And in any event, Yu's just a good guy, and I really like him, and I'm glad for all the success he's had.
Yep, no doubt, and good for him. And that's a cool, that was a cool painting.
Yeah, it was.
I
neat.
mean, that's just not just a star, man. That's got English words and Japanese words and the picture of him and lots of colors. And so, yeah, good for, look at that thing. I mean, that's like, what was that, Naruto?
Huh?
Naruto cards, you remember? Yeah, Naruto? Yeah. Anyway,
Oh.
my son did a little bit of that when he was younger.
Okay.
Julio Rodriguez, all these players do stuff in their home country. And Julio Rodriguez, man, he put his money where his mouth is. $25 million, Jeff, to redo a field down there. It's got batting cages. It's got the AstroTurf, the lighting. Look at that. I mean, bathrooms and concessions and all that. I mean, how great is that? What a feeling there. He sits there and knows, other kids are going to have an opportunity, based on, what we've done here.
Yeah, it's where they come from. It's very, very humbling. It's very, very humble life for most of them. And I remember my first trip to the Dominican. I was tooling around with some of the Rangers officials at the time, and they took. You guys remember the name Jairo Barris, the big controversial signee. They took me to Jairo's boyhood home. It was a tool shed.
Shack,
yeah. And right outside that little community, there was a baseball field. I mean, there were kids who were just out there playing. They didn't have anything, and they were waved at us. And a couple of the guys knew Spanish, so they got out of the car and talked to them. And baseball's it, man. And for these guys to have the opportunity to go and give back to their communities. We talked about Nelson Cruz a couple weeks ago, how much he gives back, and it's great for them to have a place where they can go. Hopefully, safe. Can be there all day, and hopefully, encourages the education and proper health and all of that stuff. And Julio Rodriguez just seems like a good guy. Plays with a lot of energy. Always seems to be smiling.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, my good buddy Nancy Lieberman, who I worked with for years on Thunder broadcasts, she does these dream courts in various cities around the country. I don't know if there's anything that brings her much more joy than that. She loves opening those things for the kids. And really what's amazing about Nancy, look for the video online, you'll find it. Every time they open a dream court, she stands at half court and throws the ball over her head this way and makes it. It's amazing. I mean, it's like every time, look for it. Every court that's, I think, ever opened, maybe not since, she is getting a little older, but she always makes a backwards half-court shot at the opening of the dream courts. And then quickly, Matt Quattaro, the manager of the Kansas City Royals, 3-year extension.
Good.
Yeah.
And
Good
can't argue with what he's done in his 3 years.
Done a great job.
Or a couple of years. Yeah.
A couple of years, and he's going now to 30, I guess. He's extended, through 30. So maybe it's 3 more onto the one that he's got. So good for him. Funny little note to leave you with as we take a look at, superheroes like baseball too. And Batman goes to the game, Jeff. And says, "That's my son."
I get it.
So
I get it.
See what we did there?
Yeah.
Just a funny
The
little...
batter clearly doesn't play for the Yankees with all that stubble.
Oh, no. Yeah, they've put that back into place, haven't they? So
yeah.
Anyway, that is it. We appreciate you so much. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll talk again tomorrow. 1 o'clock, it'll be another edition at that time of the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.